Hello YouTube, I'm BEWD10 here with the final top 10 favourites video today, and this time it's going to be on my top 10 favourite trap cards of all time, and I do hope you enjoy this one, okay? And I've actually made a point to keep my cards on the bed this time so I don't keep dropping it like I've done with the past two videos, okay? So hopefully we won't have anything like that. So here we go. In at number 10 we have the Transmigration Prophecy. A versatile little card. I haven't used it, to be honest, in my own deck, but I would like to, but at the moment I don't feel the need to. Target two cards in the graveyard, shuffle those targets into the decks. Great for recycling back problem monsters that activate in the graveyard, recycling your own cards. It's basically like a mini Pot of Avarice but without the draw power. Very versatile, quite a good little card there. As I said, I've never actually felt the need to play it, to be honest, so but I still really like it. I still have it. It's still limited because when this was unlimited and at 2 and everything, it caused a lot of problems for, I suppose, when was it limited? I think it was limited around the Black Sworn, Light Sworn stuff, I think. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but it was around about that time I think this got limited because, you know, people's values and some of their Light Sworn monsters were getting sent back into the deck and everything and couldn't make their plays, basically. So it's a good versatile little card there. In at number 10 is the Transmigration Prophecy. Number 9, Starlight Road. A brilliant card to use when Heavy Storm was out. It's still good to an extent if you come across things like Torrential Tribute and Dark Hole and everything, but the main card this was used against was of course Heavy Storm, because you just set your 2 cards. Someone tried to Heavy Storm you, you play this, you negate their card, and you get to special summon a Stardust Dragon from the extra deck as well. Now, due to the ruling that was introduced for Stardust Dragon when it's special summoned by this, because it's not properly synchro summoned, you have, when it gets tributed for an effect, it can't come back because it wasn't properly synchro summoned. Which I think is only fair, because that would mean a free summon and you've had one of the most powerful synchro monsters of that time, you know, staying on the board, being able to negate destruction after destruction after destruction. And the artwork's pretty. I mean, you can tell it's a Stardust Dragon and everything, but you know, it was a good card for the time. It was needed and everything. As I said, it's not really used much nowadays, but still a good card to have just in case. So in at number 9 is Starlight Road. In at number 8 is Beckoning Light. Very versatile for any decks that run a lot of light monsters such as fairies, agents, blue eyes, light spellcasters, just anything that ran light monsters basically. Being able to recycle monsters that were in the graveyard back to your hand and everything. And so, in some cases it worked out if you had monsters in your hand that activated on effect when discarding to the graveyard, such as Fables, helped to recycle your Light Sworn monsters. You can get back your Judgment Dragons and everything. Very versatile. However, it did become limited, especially when the Light Sworns and the Agents and everything got hit hard by the ban lists. But slowly, as they've come back to their unlimited and great potential, so has this card. And, you know, I've used this in my Blue Eyes deck myself a few times, but it never really worked out because I don't feel it was working out very well, but I still really like it. So in at number 8 is Beckoning Light. In at number 7 is Solemn Judgment, the ultimate counter card. Pay half your life points, negate the activation of a spell, trap card, normal summon, flip summon, special summon, and destroy the spell, trap card, or summon monster. It does negate effects though. That's the only thing. If it did negate effects, that would be far too OP. But banned nowadays, it was just too OP. I mean, besides Solemn Warning, which is a card I absolutely hate. I will be doing a top 10 hated cards video as well. You know, I preferred this over Solemn Warning just because, you know, towards the end of the duel it didn't really matter how big your life points were being paid and everything, but just being able to negate a spell or trap card that was going to cause you a lot of problems was, you know, really good and everything. And when this was at 3, I mean, oh my god, I mean, the amount of abuse this card saw in protecting your monsters, stopping the opponent no matter what, it's no wonder it went down to 1. It stayed at 1 and now it's finally been banned because a lot of people think that's too OP and everything. I'd like to see Solemn Warning get banned because I think that's OP in my opinion. Just because it's, you know, being able to stop a monster summon, especially if it's very important to you. I'm sorry, I just really hate Solemn Warning just because, you know, it's negated my ultimate dragon summon and my shining dragon summon too many times to count. But anyway, that's in at number 10, 9, 8, 7. Solemn Judgment there. And at number 6 we have Torrential Tribute. Now this is a bit of a love-hate card for me. It's kind of like the Dark Hole, you have to know when to play it correctly and everything, but it was great when I used it and wiped out the opponents. It wasn't so fun when it was used against me, but like Dark Hole and everything, it doesn't really need that much of an explanation. It's a good versatile staple card nowadays. You know, gets rid of problem monsters that are on the opponent's side of the field. It can be costly if you use it at the wrong time and have to get rid of your monsters, but if you've got ways to come back from it, then it's not too much of a bother. But in at number 6 is Torrential Tribute. And at number 5 is Ring of Destruction. Now this was a game ender card basically, and Settle Kaiba used it. It was one of his favourite trap cards and everything. You know, destroy one face-up monster card and inflict damage equal to the destroy monster's attack to the life points of both you and the opponent. It's, you know, too easy to end games with this and everything. It's still banned sadly, but I would like to see this come back because it's pretty cool. Of course the artwork is completely different in the Japanese. If you want to go and check it out, I think it's like grenades or bombs something instead of flames that are attached to it. But it's a very versatile little card, really good. You know, it was a Settle Kaiba card that was just too OP sadly. So in at number 5 is Ring of Destruction. In at number 4 is Call of the Haunted, the Resurrection trap card. Very versatile, really good. Unfortunately it is vulnerable because it's a continuous trap card, so MST or remove from trap or anything like that and your monster and that's gone. However, if you were able to change the position of your monster or flip it down or something like that, you know, this wasn't applicable to the monster because its stats were reset, as it were. However, it did become a dead card on the field, so it was one of those cards where it was really good in getting back your monsters, but you had to be careful of it becoming either a dead card on the field or being targeted by, of course, things like Mystical Space Typhoon and everything. So, and very chainable in that as well, especially if they did use Mystical Space Typhoon. And one of my classic examples was somebody uses Mystical Space Typhoon on me, I chain this, bring back a white stone goes to the graveyard, gets its effect, add a blue to my hand. So Call of the Haunted didn't lose its usefulness and everything. So a versatile little card, really good, you know. In some decks a staple trap card, especially if they have problems with resurrecting their monsters and everything. You know, in at number 4 is Call of the Haunted. In at number 3 is Compulsory Evacuation Device. This was completely unlimited before it went straight down to 1 because in some decks it was just very OP being able to return a monster on the field back to the owner's hand, and if you targeted a Synchro, Fusion or XYZ monster, of course that went back to the extra deck, which meant to some extent the opponent could probably summon it again, but at the same time it cleared the field of a very powerful annoying monster. I remember the best time I ever used this was against Dr. Cyanide Necros, and he was playing Infernities. He kept trying to summon out his Dark Grapha and I kept compulsing it back to his hand and just overbeating with my monsters and everything. You know, it just shows how powerful it can be. You can even stop really powerful decks quite easily if you keep sending back their key monster and everything. So you have to be careful of how you time it though, because if you time it wrongly and you put it back in the opponent's hand and they're able to resummon it and everything, then of course that's big trouble for you. But played at the right moment, you know, you could pretty much get rid of an annoying monster and clear the field to an extent for your monsters and that to go through. So in at number 3 is Compulsory Evacuation Device. And at number 2 is Fiendish Chain. Now this is a recent favourite of mine, but only because I was able to get it in the Blue Eyes structure deck and everything. Activate by targeting a face-up monster or one effect monster on the field. Its effects are negated and it cannot attack. Really good because it's an effect veiler basically in trap form. It stops effects, but it also means the monster can't attack as well, and which is why I prefer it to some extent over Breakthrough Skill and Effect Veiler sometimes, because as I said, those kind of cards stop effects but they don't actually stop the monster from attacking. And a lot of effects monsters nowadays, some do have high attack power along with powerful effects, so it's like you may stop the effects but you can't stop the attack going through, whereas Fiendish Chain kind of takes care of that, no problem. So as I said, a recent favourite of mine, very versatile, a really good trap card, especially if you aren't able to get Effect Veiler and everything. I mean, Effect Veiler is still pretty hard to get from what I've heard, but since this was re-released in the Blue Eye Structure deck, pretty easy to get now. A very good alternate to Breakthrough Skill and Effect Veiler and everything. Just a very versatile little card. In at number 2, Fiendish Chain. And my number 1 favourite trap card of all time, you've probably seen me waving it about, and it's Mirror Force. I mean, nothing ever tops Mirror Force. I mean, having a set down Mirror Force, your opponent overextends, and then the satisfaction of flipping over the Mirror Force and the opponent's field just goes whoosh. It's just so satisfying. I'm a bit sadistic in that when it comes to my Mirror Force, definitely. Yeah, one of my absolute favourite trap cards ever since Yugioh played it in the anime and everything, and a lot of the time it does get negated or it can get destroyed by MST and everything. However, if the opponent forgets all about the back row or is not afraid of the back row and they run into this, you know, it's a massive plus for you, and the opponent, you know, can't do anything about it. And it clears the field. It's so good, it's so versatile. It's one of those trap cards where when it works correctly and it works at the right time, it can give you so much advantage and really frustrate the opponent to heck, because you just have to be careful of overextension and everything. I mean, it was limited for a very long time and it's now been at 2 for a little while, and you know, people aren't afraid of it anymore as they used to be, but even though 2 is still pretty awesome, I think it's unlimited in the OCG, which is pretty awesome. I would like to see it unlimited, because I would definitely run 3. I think 3 Mirror Force would be all I have to run actually if it ever came unlimited. That would be pretty awesome. It means you could predict what trap cards I've got in my deck and everything all the time, but hey, it's Mirror Force, I'm not going to complain. So yeah, in at number 1 for the trap cards is definitely Mirror Force, my absolute favourite trap card of all time. So versatile, so good, such a kick in the face to the opponent if they forget about it, basically. Anyway guys, that's it for this video, my top 10 favourite trap cards. I hope you guys enjoyed. As I mentioned, I will be doing a top 10 hated cards, and I don't think I'll be doing any subversions, it'll just be my top 10 hated. But until then, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!